There was a guy I knew a long time ago, a Jesuit, older guy who's been dead a long time, but a hilarious guy. And once he was regaling all of us some stories from his past that were always hilarious. I said, "Ray, you're too much." And he looked kind of sad, and he said, "You know, I'm not enough." Well, the other day somebody had sent me a trailer for a documentary, just a 10-minute trailer, for a documentary on this alternative prison in Brazil. It looked kind of interesting. But at one point, very dignifying and kind of a different way of approaching prisons. And at one point, though, the guy who ran the prison was speaking to all the inmates, and he looks out at them and he says, "We believe you can change." And I remember I put it on pause and I thought, would anybody stand up here and say that at this place? I feel like you can't have it both ways. You can't out of one side of your mouth say you are exactly what God had in mind when God made you. And out of the other side of the mouth say, I hope you'll change, you know. I don't think you can really hold both those things. Who you are is enough. Somehow, once you know the truth of who you are, then you inhabit that truth, and then you become that truth and you live from that truth. Change and behavior, that follows. But if we begin with behavior, we believe you can change, then that's from the outside in. You want to be from the inside out. Once you know your truth, then you live that truth, and all behavior gets altered because of that. So I have two old-ass stories that I use to illustrate this point. One is I was in a car with three homies, and we were laughing and bagging on each other, and I guess I wasn't paying attention, and I thought, oh my God, our car is running on fumes. And I turned to Anthony, who was in the front seat. I said, "Hey, dog, do me a paro. Be on the lookout for a gas station." And he leaned over and he checked the gas gauge like he didn't trust my assessment here. And he goes, "You're fine." I said, "Como que I'm fine, cabrón? I'm on échale, hello." E means empty. And he looked shocked. He goes, "E means empty." And I go, "Yeah, what did you think it meant?" "Enough." I said, "Well, what did you think F stood for?" And he said, "Finished." And once I thanked him, you know, for visiting our planet, I thought, well, that's the way we are. You know, we look in the mirror and we think empty, or we think finished. And yet the truth of who you are is enough. Who you are is enough. And fullness is really your truth. Another story I use to illustrate this truth is there was a kid named Danny who lived in the projects, like 12 years old, a little chubby kid. He came in and doesn't do well in school, and I was writing something at my desk, and I look up and he has a big old sketch pad that he jacked from somebody, and it's leaning on his knee, and it's bigger than he is, and he's got his pencil and he's sketching, and then every once in a while he looks at me like this, you know, which is no doubt a sign of artistic technique he picked up in cartoons or something. And I go, "Oh, he's drawing my portrait." Well, this makes me laugh. I think it's charming and funny. He gets kind of annoyed. He says, "Don't move." And then I laugh all the more, thinking it would make any damn difference if I moved, you know, and he doesn't like me laughing at all. He gets sort of Clint Eastwood, you know, he gets sort of steely. "I said, don't move." And I go, okay, so I froze there, and he finishes the portrait, and he rips it off the thing, and he lays it on the table, and there I am, you know, I think, you know, but it looks like I've been beat down by the proverbial ugly stick, you know. And my glasses are agah, and my nose happens to be on my chin. I got an ear on the top of my head, and I go, "Wow, Danny, this is me?" And he goes, "Yep." I said, "Well, I hardly know what to say. It's very interesting." And he stands up and he looks at me and he says, "What you expect? You moved." And that's sort of how we are. Who you are is enough. Don't move. Don't move. Yeah, the behavior thing and all the change, all that stuff, that's from the outside in. But if you know the truth of who you are, fullness, goodness, unshakable goodness, once you know that who you are is exactly right, why would you change? Why would you change? Seriously. I don't think we look out at all of you and say, we believe you can change. We look out at all of you and we say, if you surrender, you will find healing here. I think that's our experience. And the healing is about coming to know the truth, that who you are is enough. So don't move.